Almost ready. I love this YouTube streaming platform that we can save all this to YouTube and stream to YouTube right from Zoom. Technology's neat, isn't it? It takes away some of the belly to belly, face to face stuff, but it certainly is spectacular that you can do this. So, hey, let's get started. David Rutz here, David Allen Capital. Merry Christmas to you. Or Happy Hanukkah if you practice that. I know that just started as well. I think even Kwanzaa was even this week. And um, so, hey, whatever you practice, we just want to wish you a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I sent a Christmas message out yesterday. I recorded Christmas morning. Um, that's near and dear to me. So wanted to share that from my heart, my testimony, and kind of my story and a little Christmas message. But let's talk payment processing. That's what we're here for. I wanted to go through a couple things with you today. Number one, couple updates. We continue to expand our payment processing network. We've signed some agreements with some additional partners. I looked at the Square Buster program the other day on our cruise. They sent me the flyer to look at. It's a great product, great pricing. It's not going to be very profitable for any of us because you can't make a lot of profit on a person who's only doing $100 or $200 in processing a month. There's only a couple dollars profit in it, and sometimes there's loss because Visa charges a certain amount, right? So, but much like our Giggle product is really a door opener for our larger fundings. We've done more of our select funding or our preferred funding, I should say, 100% prepayment discounts in the last 3 weeks than we've done since it launched. And it's really taking root, right? So Giggle funding is always going to be there to generate some small revenues. It's not our target audience, just like startup payment processing won't be our target audience. However, with that said, we're going to have a product for all of you to help release a customer to, because the good news is they can start with us as a startup company and grow. And as they grow, we can benefit from it. So I saw that product. I think we'll be live with it within the next couple weeks. So just like the Bank Breezy has a funding flow, our payment processing will have a flow. Certain size clients will go to this group, certain to this group, certain to this group. So we want to take best care of the customer. And in order to do so, we need different providers. We need multiple providers. Otherwise, just like on deck lending wouldn't even look at something under 15, 20,000 a month in revenue. But we've got other partners who will. Some of our providers aren't really interested in our clients who are only doing 15 or 20,000 a month because there's not a lot of profit in it. And even some who are doing 100,000 plus, based on how the pricing is, it can produce a profit of 300-400 bucks only. I mean, it's if it's standard processing, it depends on how much the markup is and what type of cards are being used and what price is quoted. So there's not a guarantee of a lot of profit on some of these accounts because of how the pricing is done and what Visa charges, et cetera. So, but we do feel it's a good product to have for a door opener. And we think there's a lot of our agents who will have success because we had so many, literally hundreds of thousands of applications from DoorDash drivers and Uber drivers and, those what we call gig workers, right? So if we've got a lot of those, we figure this would be a good way to serve them with payment processing as well. And of course, some large companies too. Wade's got a great customer, a franchise that's signed up 9 of their 30 locations very happily. We did a call with a couple more of them last week, 2 weeks ago, I should say, that are moving on. And one of them's got a few. One of them says, "Do you do Subway?" Because I've got 13 Subways. Another one says, "Do you same pizza franchise?" Different owners ask me the same thing. Do you do Subway? Because I also own Subway. So some of these people have multiple franchises, and so these tentacles start to spread, right? And if we didn't have the ability to serve a larger franchise and take care of them with confidence, we wouldn't be getting that business. And then the tentacles that spread from that. And those are all the good news is those all become the agent's customers. So in this case, it happens to be Wade. He talked to someone in his building about payment processing, warm market. And just like his first funding that was 1.3 million that he did early on was warm market. It's someone who lived in his neighborhood. And warm market is always best. Ellen's got this very large healthcare customer that she's been working on, and she's She's friends with the CEO of the company. He's one of her customers in her limousine business. So it's like warm market, guys. Warm market and networking is always going to be the best way to generate customers, including with payment processing. So two things I want to talk about. Number one, the number one objection our agents have is they're afraid when you think about dual pricing, some of them say, and it's also the number one objection more than likely a business owner would have because I've heard it from people I talk to, is I'm not sure if I'm ready yet to pass that fee on to the customer, dual pricing. And so I just wanted to overcome that objection. The reality is when people implement it, like Wade's customer, the pizza franchise, they did 3 locations. They wanted to try 3 different markets and find out what type of feedback. Had not one complaint. 100% processing for 4 months with not one person, not even one mentioning it, not even one mentioning it. I've told you my story about my own businesses and businesses I'm partners in, I should say. I'm not there actively running them. But I asked my partners, I'm a silent partner with them, how many complaints? And they said, I think we've had 3 or 4 people mention it. Now, this has been since 2016. So you're talking, or 2017, I think, is when we started with this processor. So I mean, think about that. That's 7 years and maybe a handful of people don't complain about this. Now, does that mean you won't get a complaint? People get complaints all the time about their pricing. People get a complaint about the price of a hamburger now because prices have gone up, right? Business owners are having a hard time making a profit. So business owners are used to having complaints. They just want to have a legitimate answer for the complaint. So the best way to say it is, one of the things I would say if I was ever asked, if I was at the ice cream shop that I'm a owner in, and someone asked me, "How are you doing? Why are you doing this?" I'd say, "You know what? Prices have gone up so much that we're doing everything we can to not have to pass it on to the customers." And one of the things we decided to do was have a discount for people using cash because credit card costs us more. It's like using a foreign currency. We get a lower amount. Or it's not dollar for dollar. You do $1 on your credit card, we may only be getting 95 cents. And that's a big, when you're only making 7 or 8 cents on that dollar as it is, to give 5 cents to a credit card processor is hard. So we had to do something to combat that so that everyone's prices wouldn't have to go up. The people paying cash shouldn't have to pay more because someone wants to use a credit card and credit card fees. So we've just got dual pricing. We've got a cash price and a credit card price. That way the fee that we have to pay, it's almost like a sales tax. If Michigan State's charging 6% sales tax, we got to pass it on to you as a customer. And same as this, credit card has, it's like a tax. They're charging us 5% in some cases, 3%, 4%. Amex is 5%, 4.5% and up, usually on all cards. I mean, that's real money that the business owner has to pay. So the number one objection is number one, or the response is number one, people don't complain. Our customers have proven that. The clients that we have today, they don't get complaints. And even if, so I'd say number one is that. Number two is the personal testimony of a pizza franchise you're aware of, signed up 3 other locations, not one person complained. So they added 10 more, still had no complaints. So they plan to add all 30. That's a true story. Wade Cordell's a customer. So if you ever have a large client, or Wade Cordell's the agent, if you ever have a large client, needs to talk to Wade about that, I'm sure Wade would be happy to share his testimony with them and probably even get the customer on the phone. I bet the guy's run some big businesses. He's busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on, but he's a friend of Wade's. So if you got a large customer, talk to Wade about it. Maybe Wade can arrange even a call with that CEO with that client. Not going to do that. Not going to ask him to do that for a small restaurant business because we'll wear out our welcome pretty quick. But we're very thankful for his taking a risk with us. In his eyes, a risk. Our eyes, it's not a risk. So that's number one, is people don't complain. Number two, we've already done it. So tell stories. David, our founder of our company, has got a couple businesses. They've had 0 complaints, or a handful of complaints only, or mentions in 7 years. 7 years. And even if you lose a customer, now let's go a different step and say, let's go worst case. Let's say you have a customer come in. What's your average ticket? $80. Okay, your average ticket's $80. Let's say you lose that customer and you lose an $80 sale. And maybe they were coming in once a month. So you lost $1,000 in sales. What do you make on that thousand? So I'm just using some logic here. What would you make on that thousand if you had that customer for a year? You lost them for good. They're upset and they go away. It's not going to happen, but let's say it did. $1,000. What would you make on that? About 10%. So you make about $100. So you're losing out on $100 in profit. by losing that customer. But what did you gain from all the other thousands of customers using credit cards? You're gaining $100 a day in profit daily because of all the credit card fees you don't have to pay. You're paying 3,000 a month, that's $100 a day. It's 6,000 a month, that's 200 a day. Think of all the profit daily you're getting. So using some logic, feel, felt, found. I know you feel. I felt the same way. But what I found was our customers don't complain, actually. They don't even mention it. They're totally okay. It's becoming the standard. No one complains at the gas station that there's a cash price and a credit card price. They get it. What they do complain about is when you don't make it transparent, when you surprise them at the register with a higher price, like a upcharge. Wait a minute. Why didn't you tell me about it? That's when they go, wait a minute, what's this fee here? That's when they're bothered. But dual pricing, you present both offers, they can see it. They go, okay, cash price, credit card price. Okay, it's on me. I'm choosing to use a credit card. I get it. You're not springing them on there with a line item that you don't even mention. There's no signs anywhere. There's no mention. That's not transparent. That could be a problem. So number one is I know you feel. I felt the same way. What I found was customers don't complain. They actually like having the option of cash and credit. The cash payers love it because they know that the prices didn't have to go up for all the others. So that's number one story of mine, of Wade's customer, your customers, any customers you might have. So first you explain it, then you tell a story about it. And then you can even go, if they're not getting that, if they're like, I don't know, then you could do the, well, let's go worst case. Let's say you did have a couple of people complain. First of all, you can pass the fee right then and take it off and let them have it at cash and just tell them next time you come back, know that we have cash and credit card pricing. Just know that, come with cash next time. And so you could waive their fee temporarily and let that fee go. Or even if you lost that customer, if they say, I'm never coming back, I can't believe you're doing this to your customers, which I've never had, no one else has ever had. But let's say you had one of those. The profit you lose on that one customer is nothing compared to the profit you'll gain on the thousands of customers who it doesn't bother them at all. So it really comes down to, and the last thing is 5 years from today, 5 years from today, do you think everyone will be using dual pricing? Every company in America will be using it. Don't you think that? Yeah. What about 2 years? Probably. Does every gas station? Yes. Do a lot of restaurants out? Yeah. The larger and the higher scale restaurants have all switched first. They're like going first. Some of the smaller ones are moving slower because they're concerned about the risk of doing something like this. They could lose customers. They're already barely breaking even. So they're a little more risk averse. Okay, how long before you think all of them will? Probably 2, 3 years from now. Okay. If you know you're going there in 2 years, how much profit are you going to miss out on by waiting? How much profit will you miss out on by waiting? So those are the things. And by the way, in our payment processing training, all these objection overcomers are covered along with many others. So pull that out if you've not read that in a while. Pull it out, read it, read it, read it until you can. I don't have the notes in front of me until you can answer them the same way. And once you've role played enough and role played enough and role played enough with yourself, with your spouse, with your brother, your sister, the mirror, your upline, then start prospecting with customers like we talked about in the video earlier in the week. Flip those cards. If you flip 50 cards, or 52, I guess it is. If you flip 52 cards, four of them are aces, four of them are kings, four of them are queens, four of them are jack. So the face cards and up are your customers. Everything else is not a customer. If you get a seven, it's okay. It just means you're closer to finding a face card or an ace, and you flip another one, it's a three, no problem. Another one's a six, no problem. Another one's a seven, no problem. Another one's an eight. Hey, all those no's are going to eventually, the odds are getting better. You're going to get a bunch of aces and jacks and queens and kings and customers. You just keep going. You don't let the non-face cards bother you. You just keep going until you get to the ones that are yeses. Now, when you get someone who's, yeah, I'm interested in learning more, the best thing you can do is get their statements. Let them know we're going to need your statements because that way we can see. It's almost like a credit report for businesses, but it's not. But the people who do the quoting and underwriting the people who underwrite the product, because these are like loans. People don't know that who don't take business or don't do business card processing, but really the processor's giving you advance on money before they ever get money from Visa. So they're giving money to that business owner. And if that business owner, I had a client who own a company, and he took credit cards, one of my personal clients, and he sold products that cost about $6,000. And he got a bunch of customers, and then he didn't do the work. He didn't do the work that they paid for. They gave deposits. He didn't do the work. It was a construction company. So the customers called and said, hey, they didn't do the work. Visa, get my money back. Visa gives them the money back. Visa calls the processor and says, hey, processor, take this money back from that company's bank because they didn't do the work. And the processor goes to take the money back. And guess what? There's no money in the bank account. They can't get the money back. Visa got their money because they sent the money to the customer. Visa got their money back because they got the money directly from the processor, but the processor goes to get it from my client, and my client has no money in his account. What happens? It's an NSF. They can't get the money. Who loses in that? The processor. The processor lost 6,000. They lost about 24,000 on my customer. My customer who sold a bunch of deposit products, never did the work. Visa gave all the money back to the customers, the end consumer, right? As well, you're protected by Visa, your card. When you use your card, you can get your money back. If a business doesn't do their work, the processor lost because the processor has the money to pay back Visa, but the processor can't get it from the customer. So processors are underwriting. They got to know what is the risk that I can get money back if there's chargebacks. And so when you get their payment processing statements, they can see the average ticket item. They can see how many items they do. They can see whether it's in-card purchases or online purchases. They can see a plethora of information that helps them do the underwriting of your customer quickly. And the slower that you get that information, the longer it takes for approval. So if you don't have payment processing statements, then they can't give you a quote because they don't know your risk. And people go, why is it taking the processor so long? Because we don't have statements. Yeah, but can't you just tell them what the pricing is going to be? You know your pricing. No, we don't know the pricing till we know the risk. Right. So the fastest thing you can do is get their payment processing statements, or at least have them on the ready with payment processing statements when they fill out the form, because we have a way that they can upload them, right? They can upload them immediately. So you want to let them know that is the most critical thing they can do to speed through an accurate quote. Otherwise, what happens? It's like in our funding where we give a stated offer based on stated revenue and stated credit score. A biddy is an example. If you say you're doing 15,000 a month and your credit score is a 680, biddy will give you, based on your answers, your approval offer is $12,000. But now we want to see your bank statements, and we're going to pull your credit because you said it was a 680, but we're going to verify that. If everything you said is accurate, you'll get 12,000. But if your sales are lower than you say, or you've had bounce checks when you said you didn't, or your credit score is only a 600, not a 680, your offer from 12 is going to fall to 7 or 8. And they go, you told me 12, I was approved for 12. No, you were pre-approved for 12, and it said based on stated revenue, stated FICO score. It's the same thing with payment processing. We give someone an offer before we see their statements, the offer is going to change, and now you got a frustrated customer. So they'd rather not quote anything. Dual pricing, it's easy because you can say, we just mark it up 4% and that should cover all your fees. But I did a Zoom last week or the week before on Thursday where I actually break down dual pricing, how it does cover the fees, but how sometimes it doesn't cover all the fees based on their sales. So watch that video if you didn't already, because that's a great way if you want to ever sit down with a customer and show them. I go through it, I break it down with the actual numbers, slides. So that's what I wanted to cover today. The number one objection about dual pricing. I'm sorry, the fact that we're adding other carriers to help on the low end and also help us in the large end. Secondly, dual pricing, biggest objection, how to overcome it. And don't forget to go to your payment processing training scripts. And number three, the tip of getting payment processing statements right away. Do you have any questions? This is a good time. And if you didn't see my Christmas message yesterday, I encourage you to watch it. I can share my testimony a little bit about my faith journey and also what I believe is the real meaning of Christmas. I've had a lot of great responses, so thank you for the text, folks. Got a lot of texts today and yesterday, and so thank you for that. And of course, some reply emails. but I encourage you. And we have other videos as well. So an email went out yesterday with some videos that were uploaded while I was on my cruise. Thank you all for your grace in my time away. I was answering emails the whole time, but very few people reached out to me because they knew where I was and what I was doing. Had a great family trip. Hopefully, all of you can do at least one of those a year as well. And if not, let me help you make that happen through DAC. Let's talk about what you got to do in DAC to make that a reality. Get with your upline leader. Next Monday, we're going to be doing a special call, goal setting, and more than just goal setting, how to create the right habits. Setting goals is one thing, building habits is the answer, though. A lot of people set goals but never get them. But what we do is if we focus on instead creating the right habits, the goals, you fly by the goals. In fact, you got to change them because your habits support your goals and actually recreate them. Any questions at all about payment processing that we talked about today? I don't see any. So, all right. Well, we will be doing a call at 11:30 tomorrow. I appreciate you all. We're coming to the end of the year. I'm just so very grateful. It's a special time. We got a lot of amazing things happening for DAC, and I couldn't be happier for where we're at. All right. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Have a great day.